Hello and welcome back to another movie review. As always, I am Kelly and I just got out of Joker. And oh man, this is definitely a surprise for me. Now, I've been a little vocal to my friends about my worries that this movie was going to be, what's the word? Bad, horrible, not a good idea, DC. Because in truth, I don't want a Joker origin story. And I especially don't want a Joker origin story where it all boils down to, well, it's just one bad day and suddenly I'm a monster. We got that already and people still bitch about it to this day. Both the comic book and the movie. But in truth, after watching this film, I can tell you, oh boy, this is a movie that I think more people need to see. It's dark, moody, and it goes in very, very uncomfortable places and genuinely raises questions about how we treat mental illness, how maybe getting rid of welfare programs isn't a good idea, and especially whether or not we are actually contributing to the very problem we're bitching about. Now, with that said, I can still say that I'm probably not as much on the hype train as other people who I've seen give this, perfect reviews and say there's nothing wrong with it and that it's completely awesome. In truth, there are a few problems that I personally have with this movie. I don't think this will make my best list this year is all I'm saying. But that doesn't mean I won't say that this movie is not worth watching, because it really fucking is. It's just that I feel that this movie is just getting a lot of its love because it is the Joker and not necessarily because it's the greatest movie of all time. But for those who don't mind spoilers, let's actually start talking in detail with some actual plot points about what I felt this movie did right and what I did wrong, starting with the good. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is something you're going to hear everybody who watches this movie praise, because it is genuinely an interesting take on the Joker. And the best way I could sum it up is, this is the definitive version of the modern age psychotic Joker. For those who don't know, there is this thing called the Three Joker theory. Now, there is supposedly a storyline coming from Jeff Johns that's going to actually explain why there are three Jokers in the New 52 universe, but that is completely down the road. When we say that there are three Jokers, though, from a meta perspective, there are three versions of the Joker that you generally see. The first, the Golden Age one, is the gangster, essentially Jack Nicholson from the '89 Batman movie. He did this very well. He was all about controlling crime, the mafia, and all that stuff. And generally, he was just out to get rich when you get down to it. Next, you have the Silver Age interpretation of the Joker. He's the trickster with the over-the-top plans, the funny gadgets like the acid-spewing flower, or the buzzer that turns everyone to smoke, or a fake hand that turns out to have a grenade in it. You know, the silly stuff. This is more exemplified from the Adam West Batman series with their depiction of the Joker. But the modern age Joker is the psychotic one, the absolute crazy nutball whose motivations and everything don't really make sense. He's just out to kill, murder, and tell bad jokes while doing it. A lot of people would say that Heath Ledger's Joker is the defining psychotic, modern age interpretation of the Joker. But I don't buy that, and I never really did, because, frankly speaking, Heath Ledger's Joker isn't crazy. He does have grand plans. He has an idea. He has a vision of breaking the system. That's not someone I can say is psychotic. This Joker, on the other hand, I can absolutely say that, because Joaquin Phoenix is fucking crazy in this movie. The overall theme of this movie can be summed up in one little quote that was written inside of Joaquin Phoenix's diary/joke book inside of it. The biggest problem with having a mental illness is that people expect you to act as if you don't have one. Arthur Fleck inside of this movie is a very troubled, disturbed man trying, so fucking trying, to exist inside of this world and just, as he puts it, feel good. He's taking medications, he's going to psychiatrists, he's helping take care of his mom, he's got a job as a clown, which he says genuinely several times that he loves to be. He even has aspirations of becoming a stand-up comedian. And good on him. He's trying. He is fucking trying, but society will not let him. And it never gives him a fucking break. Whether it's cutting the funding to his psychiatrist, thus cutting off his meds, the only way that he can get them is to go back to Arkham, which he doesn't want to do. Because Arkham is Arkham no matter what series or universe or continuity you were talking about. Arkham is just fucking Arkham. And Joaquin Phoenix brings such a level of depth to this character. Just every stare, every look, every time he turns and you just see that smile slowly get across his face. Everything that Joaquin Phoenix brings to this is amazing, especially the Joker laugh in this one. Arthur Fleck has a condition where he spontaneously will just burst out into uncontrollable fits of laughter inside of this. And Joaquin Phoenix shows that this is not a good thing. He genuinely is choking on himself. He can't breathe because his body is forcing all the air out through the laughter. It is one of the most haunting, jarring things in this movie is just to hear Joaquin Phoenix laugh. Also, Robert De Niro is really good in this movie, even though he's essentially just a bit part. I wouldn't be surprised if they filmed every sequence they have with him in about 3 or 4 days. He's not in very many scenes, and he's only occasionally on TV doing something else. I mean, I probably imagine that changing out which suit he was currently wearing took longer to do than to actually film the scenes themselves. But one of the other really, really great things about this film is that you're not really 100% sure what's real or not. It really does try to make you question, did this actually happen? Is this actually true? What's actually going on in the film? Because Arthur Fleck is a pretty unreliable narrator, as we find out later in some of the scenes when certain things that you think happened didn't actually happen. Though I do have to swing around on that and talk about that in the negative. Pretty much everything in the second half of this movie is confirmed to actually happen, but everything in the first half is open to interpretation and really says a lot about the characters as well as the society, especially Gotham in this. Gotham is surprisingly realistic. This really does feel like a Detroit, Chicago type city. A lot of crime, strikes, rich people blaming it on the poor people pretty fed up with it. There are some riots inside of this that all culminate after Joaquin Phoenix is really forced to defend himself and kill 3 Wall Street douchebags on the train. Well, I tell a little bit of a lie. Killing 2 of the 3 was self-defense. The third one he actually had to chase down. That's when it became murder. But at the very least, I don't feel bad. He killed 3 rich assholes who were being dicks and tried to murder him on a freaking train for laughing. I'm supposed to feel bad for these guys? But that's the other genuine thing this movie does. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It really does play it raw in your face and shows you bad people for what they are. People. And I know there's a big old fucking controversy about, oh, you're sympathizing with the bad guys. They do this every time one of these movies come out. It's just the video games cause mass shootings argument in film form, finally. And honestly, it's just as stupid there as it is here. The violent media isn't causing this shit. And if anything, it's actually lessening it. Look at the fucking statistics. The real statistics on this. Crime overall is down. Yes, we have a massive spike in mass shootings, but that's probably not related to the movie Joker, especially since you were making this claim long before it ever fucking came out and was visible to anybody. So, yeah, it's a dumb argument, and I'm not going to humor it anymore. Now, angry tirade over, I should probably start talking about some of the problems in this movie, and the big one for me is it's pretty telegraphed. I give it praise for, first half trying to interweave, what's real, what's not. Is something happening here? Is something happening there? But the problem is that it's actually pretty telegraphed that you know what you're looking for. Every time we hit one of these sequences, the movie gets slightly blurry, almost dreamlike, and, things are happy in this very, very depressing movie. And that would have been fine But then there's this one scene about the middle of the movie where they finally reveal, and they actually have to flash back. Oh yeah, they were never there the entire time. It was totally a trick, guys. And like, you telegraphed it. This is the exact same thing that When the Night Comes, or whatever it was called, when they would change the aspect ratio to let you know what's a dream, what's reality. It's the same thing there, and then pretending that, we're being smart and clever and no one's done this before. It feels pretentious. Also, I feel this movie kind of scoffs at the idea of a comic book movie. While there's a great moment at the end when the Joker kind of emerges, the last act inside of the actual TV show is amazing. And you get this moment where the Joker is bleeding all over his face from a car accident, and he just draws the smile in his own blood. And it is just gorgeous, beautiful, symbolic, everything, and it works. But then we get the repeat of the Waynes dying, and it doesn't make sense in this context. Not that they die. The Waynes surprisingly actually have something to do with this story that really does work. In fact, I will go as far as to say that it doesn't feel weird that they're included at all, but their death feels very forced and tacked on into this. Because we have to remind people that this is a comic book origin story, and we gotta reshoot the Waynes again, and do the iconic scene of, the pearls flying everywhere, that every single time this happens, they do. But it doesn't make any sense, because in the other origin stories, whether they be movies or comics, they're getting mugged. That's what it is. In those other versions, they're getting mugged, and they're trying to grab the necklace, rip it off, and run away. That's why it breaks every time. In this one, it's part of the Joker's political statement, and all of the rioters are the ones who do it, and they still try to grab the pearls like they're robbing them, but nothing else. It's like they needed the pearls because they're famous, rather than actually organically putting it in. It would have just been better if they just ended it with, you get what you deserve, and shoot, and then the guy runs off because he doesn't want to kill a kid. But again, you don't even need that scene. You can just cut it and then maybe just have like a news segment playing in the psychiatry in the background in the end scene, just saying that the Waynes died in this whole riot that was caused by the Joker's actions. That would have been a much better way of handling this, in my opinion. But overall, with those few problems in there, this movie is amazing. It is a great standalone feature. And while I've heard even some of my friends say that maybe they should try to reboot the DCEU with this being the baseline, I don't think that's a good idea. This movie works best when it's by itself. And while, yes, I would say this is better than most of the DCEU movies that we've gotten good DCEU movies, so stop acting like they're not. So I just have to say, please stop acting like we don't have them. They are going in a good direction. It may take some time before we get a truly great DCEU movie, but they're coming. Shazam was amazing. Aquaman was really fun. And Justice League, while not technically a very good movie, I can say it's a step in direction that I hope that DC continues. This, though, is a much better film if it's on its own, completely without the context of a larger universe. And hey, maybe it's one of the many backstories the Joker came up with to explain how he got these scars. My personal final verdict on this one is that this is a must-see. It is a great film that really does turn everything you expect on its head. Does it have problems? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to be one of the best of the year? Probably not. This isn't like Ad Astra for me, where I really did just watch it and say, yeah, this is something that I would definitely put on there. This for me is more of that was a damn good movie with a good performance, but a little too nihilistic. Everything is crap for my taste. I prefer, positive over, world sucks, I guess. But I can still recommend that you go see this movie because you will not be disappointed. Just don't go shoot anybody. And that's it for me. Did you enjoy the video? Have you seen Joker? Tell me what you think about it in the comments down below. Let's get some healthy discussion going. And as always, if you like what you see, you want to support the show, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Do everything you can to help me improve my channel. And finally, one day I can get out of this slum that I'm living in, this one-room studio apartment all to myself. I'm such a tortured person. I need more, please. And yeah, that's it for me, so I guess I'll see you all next time.